Alright guys, welcome to the finale of building Vietnam in Lego, and as you can see, this MOC is packed full of detail, packed full of cool minifigures, and a lot of cool vehicles as well, but we're just going to get right into it. So without further ado, we're just going to go through the MOC. I'm going to show you guys every little scene, every minifigure, all the vehicles, what's going on, and let's just get into it. So let's start ahead in the city section on the left side. We're going to work left to right, and let's get into it. Alright, before we get into that, one thing I did want to mention, we do have some military Jeeps on the website, and then the Viet Cong soldier and the Americans that you see in this MOC are actually on the website right now. And then there's also a bunch of new crazy combo minifigures, some of which have the same printing that these two figures have. So these are all on the websites, link in the description. Okay guys, let's start left to right. Let's start on the city side of the MOC. Once again, this is a huge MOC. I guess let's talk about some stats real quick. So there's over 200 minifigures. There's over 100 Viet Cong and over probably close to 105 or 110 US soldiers. There's approximately, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 large vehicles, a couple artillery, heavy machine guns, actually 8 vehicles because there's 2 more Jeeps that I didn't see there. So plenty of vehicles, plenty of minifigures, and then there's probably, I mean with those minifigures, there's probably 300 weapons in this MOC. So there's a lot of minifigures, and it is approximately about 3 feet deep and then 8 feet long of a MOC. So for you guys to get a sense of scale, this thing is huge, and it probably took, I want to say, over 10,000 pieces to make this, and as you guys know, this took 50 weeks to complete. So very large display, a lot of pieces, a lot of parts, a lot of money and time went into this thing, but I'm going to show you guys why it was all worth it. So let's get into it right here. So let's get down here kind of on minifigure level, and let's start taking a look at some of these minifigures here. So we've got in the back side, so this city has, I guess I'll show you kind of the outside of the buildings and all that here in a second, but let's go into the minifigures here. So first up, we've got 2 Viet Cong soldiers here. These 2 guys are kind of in the back left of the MOC, and they're just kind of doing their thing. They're just kind of talking. One guy probably is looking for an RPG because he's just got the rocket tube. And then we've got a bunch of Viet Cong here running up to round the corner to start fighting in the battle around this destroyed building. We've got a lot of rubble all over the place, just kind of covering up the road. Obviously, this building has been bombed out and is quite destroyed. So we've got kind of a squad of 4 Viet Cong running up here with their AKs of different variants. So we've got a field gun here. We've got one guy kind of protected by the building, hiding behind the corner. This guy's trying to load it up and aim it down to probably one of the American tanks down there that I'll show you guys in a second. Then we've got some guys that are trying to cross the street, which would be kind of scary if you imagine 2 tanks coming this side, just a bunch of fire coming down here. A couple guys didn't make it, as you can see there. So these guys are running across. And then let's go take a look at this building a little bit more. So we got a burn barrel in here. We've got all sorts of different weapons and ammo crates. As you can see, once again, a lot of rubble. This guy's got an old German Panzerfaust. He doesn't really know what he's going to do. Maybe he might poke it through one of these holes and try to take kind of a cheap shot at one of the tanks. Then we've got a bunch of guys running through this building on the side because there's the firefight going on over here. But before we get to that, let's take a look up top. So we do have a second floor. It's kind of a bombed out floor. This guy was kind of cool. So he's an all-white Viet Cong of my, normally these are printed on black, as you see, but I printed one on white, and it looked really cool. It looks almost like a commander. So these 2 guys are talking to him. One guy's smoking a cigarette, and they're kind of maybe strategizing on how to defeat the Americans. We got another guy running across to help these guys. This guy's got a Russian machine gun that's out on the balcony shooting down at the American tanks. This guy's got an RPG that's probably shooting down at the Americans. So this is where we start to get into the Americans. So I guess I'm trying to think what's the best way to do this. Let's just keep going on the front side of this MOC, and I'll get to the back side here in a second. So once again, we've got this bombed out building. There's a hole in the side there these guys are just running out of. So we've got, once again, kind of another squad coming out. A couple of them, once again, didn't make it. They got shot down. You can see they got the blood. They're all face down. Then we've got a couple of these guys are actually flanking out and taking out these Americans here. So we've kind of got a courtyard going on. So we've got kind of these walls here. We've got a fountain in the middle. And we've got more guys rushing out from this side here taking out these Americans. So what I really wanted to get this point across in this mock was the Viet Cong and the Vietnamese really owned this city. So I wanted a majority of the city to be Viet Cong controlled, and then these Americans are just now entering. So that's kind of the, I don't know what the right word is. That's just the feel I wanted to get from this. So that's what I went ahead and did. Once again, we got more rubble and some dead Viet Cong there that got shot down in probably a pretty close quarter combat. We've got some more. This guy's kind of taking cover right here. There's kind of like barrels of all sorts of different materials and whatnot, so he's just kind of chilling there. Once again, these are some Americans that didn't make it. These guys actually were able to push through, and this guy's running up. Once again, he doesn't have... A lot of these Viet Cong have rocket launchers as well, and what I wanted to give the, like, not the opinion, but the feel was that some of these guys have already shot the rockets they had in their RPGs, and now they're running around looking either for rockets or ammunition, or maybe they're carrying them in their pockets or side pouches, so this guy's kind of screwed. But we got two Americans, one with an M16, one with an M1 Garand, and then we've got more rubble and kind of piles of supplies over there. Then we've got these guys here, so picture some, I'm assuming there would be more road here and there'd be a Jeep convoy. So this guy is shooting out of the Jeep here. We've got these Americans here that are kind of hiding behind the wall. This guy's laying down. This guy's kind of like the commander. If you take a look at him, he's got kind of a full-on vest and a cigarette there. He's kind of probably calling most of the shots. We got more rubble. These guys are running up. This guy's making the daring attempt to run across from cover to cover, probably while getting shot at by some of these guys, so that's kind of scary. We got more guys over there that made it across. This guy obviously did not make it, and he made it face down there. We got this guy here with a rocket launcher, probably trying to take out the field gun there, so that's kind of a direct line of fire that I wanted to show. Once again, more guys coming around there. So we're kind of making a full circle as far as me showing you guys what's going on. So once again, another American that did not make it, using transparent red studs to kind of symbolize blood, which I think is really nice. Obviously it's not nice that people died, but you know, nice for detailing purposes. Then we've got this squad. I showed these in another video. These are kind of the, I think this was last week's episode I showed these guys, but these guys got a lot of like heavy gear, a lot of vests, different helmets, so I wanted to put those guys by this tank. So this is an M18 Hellcat. Now, this necessarily wasn't in Vietnam, but I wanted to add tanks to this build just to give it some more, you know, it would look really boring without any tanks, so I went ahead and added that. So we've got up here, we've got a guy with a headset, we've got another American with a 1911, we got a 50 cal in the back, and this guy's probably shooting at this machine gun outpost, and this machine gun outpost is probably trying to take out most of the infantry. We also got a Stuart tank. Now, this probably wasn't in Vietnam as well. I looked up some of the tanks that were in Vietnam. This was not one of them, but I figured, you know, it symbolizes a smaller or a light medium tank that would be in Vietnam. So once again, these guys are trying to use the tank as kind of cover as they push up through the city. This guy did not make it, as you can see there. Another guy did not make it. Another guy, you know, I wanted to show that, yes, you know, war is not pretty and there are going to be a lot of casualties. This I thought was funny. I try to do this in all my mocks. This guy's getting run over. This Viet Cong is getting squashed by this Stuart tank, so I thought that was kind of a nice little detail to add in. We've got two more Americans here. Then we've got these houses over here. So let me push back a little bit more and show you back here. So once again, we'll get to this, but the Americans are pushing up through the forest here and coming out. So a couple of them didn't make it. These guys back there are kind of just, I don't know what they're doing. They're kind of just chilling by the rubble, smoking a cigarette. These guys are all running up to help out. These guys are all shooting. This guy here probably took out this Viet Cong here, and these guys are coming out of the houses. So that's actually a propaganda tile that you can buy on my website. That's kind of a little Easter egg there. This guy's kind of sitting down behind the ledge trying to probably figure out what to do next. And this guy's running out of the house with an AK. This guy's trying to take him out with his M16. We got more guys kind of hiding behind the corner. One's got an RPG that's probably going to go for one of these tanks. Another guy rounding the corner with an AK, probably trying to double up on this guy here, these two guys. This is a really cool house. So this was one of the first houses that I built for this mock. Really happy with how it is. You can see there's detailing on all three sides. The back side, obviously, you're not going to see. So this guy actually looked like he fell over just a little bit. Oh. So this is an all white house. There we go. And then you got, this is where like the stairwell where people would actually come up. So we got a bunch of guys up here. We got 2 guys, one here with an RPG. And then we have also got this guy over here that's already shot his, probably at the Americans or at the tanks. These 2 guys are probably figuring out what to do. Got another guy out of the 2nd floor window, which I think is really cool. So he's shooting out with his AK. And then, like I said, these 2 guys are running out of the bottom floor. This house on the next, or kind of connected, is a smaller house. It's a sand green and light bluish gray house, which I think turned out really nice. Once again, there's all the video content on how I built this in the previous episodes, and you got a kind of a bombed outside there. That's probably where that rubble came from, you know, just fell down onto the street and the sidewalk. But I really like, let's zoom in on the detail of the sand green, broken glass, kind of all the like chipped awayness. I really like that look, so I'm curious to see how you guys like that. But it definitely gives the appeal that it's been through, you know, really just a war. So I think that's really cool. Now let's move on. So back here we kind of have an alleyway, and I wanted that because I thought it'd be really cool to kind of showcase that, yes, this is a city, and there's going to be alleyways. They're going to be tight. They're going to have, like, you know, all sorts of crates and stuff in there. So that's what we have down there. Once again, I talked about those 2 guys. And then down here, we actually have a car that's in the middle of the road. I wouldn't be surprised if the Viet Cong put that there, not only for cover, but try to, you know, stop the tanks. They might have even booby trapped it with some bombs. So we got another guy here with an RPG. Got some guys with AKs taking cover and then also taking some shots. And then on this back side, you can actually see I got more Viet Cong running up on the sidewalk against this street. Probably not the best. That's probably what that Stuart tank is going for right there, because that's pretty easy shots. This guy's pretty awesome. So he's behind kind of this pillar. He's got an RPD with some ammo chain there. That guy looks pretty sweet, and he's just taking shots. Once again, some more guys with AKs down there. And then we've got this guy actually has a sniper, Dragunov, and then another RPG. And actually, totally forgot about this guy. This guy's up here on the roof, and he just probably shot his RPG there. And he's probably going to get shot pretty easily. But showing off this building a little bit more, it's a multiple store kind of office building is what I was going for. And got a cool bombed out kind of roof or balcony. Really like the way these pillars turned out. If we get down low, you can see all the windows down there. You can see all these are Lego glass windows there. And just looks like a really cool building. So without further ado, I would say that about does it. So let's take a step back and show you kind of the greater city. So we've got a main road here going through the city. This actually turns to the left. This was made using the snot technique. So you can see the Lego bricks are actually on their side. There's so much glare, it's hard for the camera to focus. So normally you build straight up like this. These are actually built out on their side. And you do that, if this will focus, on what's called a headlight brick, and then you can build out to the left or to the right. So that's how we built that all the way there. And then we have this going through kind of along the forest road section. So this is really the main road, and then this is kind of like a side access road, but you can see that where the tanks came from there. And I just wanted to give you guys some cool shots. You know, there will be another finale video coming out next week of kind of a cinematic view, so if you want to see more of that, don't worry, I will be posting that. But I just wanted to show you guys here right now some more aerial shots. Once again, a lot going on, a lot of figures. Probably just in the city alone, there's probably 120 figures. So there's a lot going on, and it honestly looks really cool. It's very hectic, but that's what I wanted to get across. So I think it's really cool. Let's go ahead and let's move over to this side of the MOC. Okay guys, continuing from left to right, let's take a look at the kind of forest and rice field section. I actually turned off my studio lights because it was so overexposed and bright. My camera wasn't doing a good job of picking up all the details. So it's a little bit darker, but I think it's going to show and just be more in focus, and everything is going to be better. So once again, let's do some close-ups, then I'll step back and show you kind of the greater picture of things. So once again, this is basically all just green plates that are covered in grass, covered in bamboo pieces, covered in different bushes. I made some trees, different colors, all sorts of foliage to basically cover up and make this thing look awesome. So first up, we do have a squad here. Now, there are a couple figures in this MOC, like these included a couple Viet Cong that do have the yellow skin tone. The main skin tone is obviously light flesh, but I was too lazy to change those, and I figured if I kind of grouped them together, it wouldn't really matter. So we got 4 Americans coming up from wherever this trail led. You can see I have trails all over the place here, and the way I did that was I just simply didn't put grass down, and I was able to kind of make some cool winding, trails all over the place. It looks like the grass has been stomped down already, like there's people already been on it. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. Here you can just see how much grass is just in this one little area, and you picture this giant MOC, how many little pieces of grass that each had to be placed one at a time. This was all done by myself. It took a very long time, but I mean, a small section like this probably took 10-15 minutes. So maybe like 5 hours, 6 hours of putting grass down, but it's not that much, but it's still a lot. So another thing, we do have these telephone poles. I did do this in another MOC series I did a while ago. I think this was Sinai Desert, but basically we've got these telephone poles going all the way down. I actually took some small threading, and I actually attached it to these, and it's actually going down all of there. So you can see, I don't know if it'll focus up because it's so thin, but you can kind of see the thread going down kind of like the wires would. So that's not only for color, but it's also giving the MOC some different height variants. If these weren't here, it'd just kind of be flat, and I wanted to raise it up in different spots, and I thought it looked kind of cool. And with this being close to the city, I thought it would be like communications lines or just power lines. So I thought that was kind of cool. Once again, lots of trees. Then I also did some kind of dark green like hills and just kind of bumps everywhere. Then I also did some rocks every now and then, so you can see those all over the place here as I'm talking. So once again, we got some trails going in this way, main trail this way, we got another one coming in here. I guess let's show off these guys here. So these guys are running from the kind of rice fields. So you can see this is it's a trans green 1x1 is what it is. It's a tile. There's just a bunch of them. You can see them all, and it makes this cool effect like it's murky water or just kind of swamp water. So you can see we kind of have 4 little sections of that, and they're separated here by some grass that these guys are running across here. So basically, let's go even further over here and we'll work our way back. So we've got a Huey helicopter here that just landed. You can see the outline of where the prop actually left from blowing all the, all the grass and all the foliage out of the way. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then we've got, obviously it's packed full of American soldiers there, and they're all in the helicopter. They're all coming out here. And you can see they're coming down this trail here, and they're just running in straight to the battle. So once again, we've got another trail there. Got some more rocks, bushes, all sorts of things here. So they're running in this way. And these Viet Cong probably were hiding or something, but they're trying to intercept these guys. Obviously, they took a couple of them out. One guy got shot here. One guy's already downed. There's another guy that's already downed right there. So these guys are running up not only to get to the battle, but to help those guys out. These guys, you can see, turned around and are coming back to help this guy. Once again, never leaving a man behind. This guy's picking up the pace, trying to get out of Dodge. This guy is kind of not really a Rambo reference, but I wanted to put some guy in the water. This is actually a prototype torso that I'm working on. So it's kind of a bullet chain torso. So he's actually swimming in the water, sneaking up. He actually might have been the one that killed this one Viet Cong. So he's kind of sneaking up on these guys. These guys all have AK-47s. One guy has an RPG that's ready to fire. And then what these are actually really cool. So these are just a conglomeration of transparent clear parts, mainly 1x1 studs and 1x2 plates. And you stack them up and they look like the water is exploding out of the pond or out of the, whatever you want to call these little rice fields. So that's just a cool effect. Maybe some grenades went off in there, or maybe some mortar rounds, something like that. I thought that was really cool. So we do have this little trail here that is interconnected all the way there. Once again, some more rocks, got some more trees. Once again, trying to change the color, trying to change the height variance. I don't know if it'll pick up on camera, but this is actually a hill, and you can see that by the change in elevation right there. So this is all, if I get down maybe a little bit lower, you can see, there we go. So yeah, this is all an inward or upward incline here, and it goes all the way down. So this is a really big hill. And up on it, we'll get to the road here in a second, but there's a lot of grass, a lot of bamboo. As you can see on this road, or not this road, but this hill, it goes all the way back. and all the way forward. So wanted to show that off, but let's go back over here. So we've got, this is a really cool part of the MOC, and I'm really glad I did this. It's kind of a dense forest section, and you can see, once again, different colored trees, different, some of them are all green, some of them are alternating green, dark green, dark green, some of them are even brown. So I wanted to do that, and then I wanted to have some sort of color in the MOC to really make this grass area pop. And so I took this and I put a bunch of it on fire. Now this could be a napalm strike, this could be a flamethrower, this could have just been a rogue fire, but I think it looks really cool. It's really hard to pick up on camera. It's really overexposed because it's so bright, but these are just a bunch of flame pieces that I not only put on the ground, put on the trees, but actually kind of weaved up, and I think it looks really, really cool. So let's move back here just because I don't think I've shown these. These guys are all running up, and this is kind of where it starts to meet in with the city, is these guys are running up to aid and kind of be the reinforcements. So you kind of have, you know, 1 squad, 2 squad, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squads coming, I would say. Squads being just a small group of guys. So I don't know how that actually works, but that's kind of how I grouped them like that. So let's take a step back here and kind of show you guys once again. So we got the chopper landing there. We've got all the trails. You know, we got a trail going there. We've got a trail coming back there. This one's connected. This one's connected to the larger ones, and I just think it looks really cool. So once again, a lot of green, a lot of different colors, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to break up as much of the green as I could. And then I don't even think I showed you this. We got some, these are 1x1 clear studs, and there's actually a white stud on the bottom, and that's to symbolize like machine gun fire. So maybe this guy got caught in like a sweep of machine gun fire from these guys back here. So those are all bullets hitting the water, throwing the water up, which I think is a cool little detail that I've done in, I think, my D-Day MOC and a couple other of my builds. So that's just a little something that I've done, and I think it looks really cool. So let's go ahead, move from here. Let's go up to the hill, and I'll show you guys what we got going on up here. Alright guys, let's go ahead and move on to the far right of the MOC. This is all built up on a hill section, and before we do that, I want to show you guys probably one of the coolest parts of this. You guys thought I would forget to show this, and I honestly thought I would forget to show this, but this is the underground Viet Cong kind of cave system, whatever you want to call it. So let's start on the far right. We've got these two guys just smoking cigarettes, talking. Basically, the backstory behind this is the Viet Cong were very smart in that they knew their area and their ground very well, and they actually built underground tunnels throughout the battlefields. And so they not only could store troops and ammunitions there, but they could booby trap these things. They could pop out of nowhere and ambush the enemies, being the Vietnam, or not the Vietnam, but the Americans. And I wanted to replicate that, and a lot of you guys wanted me to replicate that. So without further ado, let's see if I can do this on camera. Basically, I've got a secret right here. You see this panel? If I take a magnet, let's zoom in here so you guys can see this. If I take this magnet, it automatically goes to the magnet on the back, and now we've got our on switch, and we've got lights all throughout this, and they're all on different spots there. You can see some up high, some down low, and if we go all the way over, it actually goes pretty far back in the MOC. It probably goes back to about here on the MOC, about halfway back in the depth, so probably close to 16 inches back. So there's nothing back there other than kind of tunnel systems, but it's really cool to see the Vietnam underneath the battlefield. Like literally, there's Americans right there, but these guys are underneath, and they're probably going to come out and scare them and, you know, kill them. Obviously, that's the goal for these guys, is to ambush the Americans. So we've got weapons crates down there. We got some AKs. We've got some RPGs. These guys, we got 4 guys here, and then like I showed you guys, 2 guys back there. So I thought that was really cool to add this in the MOC. Sorry it's so overexposed. And in the cinematic finale, which is next week, I'll do a cool shot where it's pitch black and all you can see is those lights. So definitely stay tuned for that. Subscribe so you don't miss that, but that is coming, so definitely look out for that. But let's go up to this hill section. So I wanted to show you guys how elevated this actually is. So this right here is about 5 bricks worth of height. And then we come over here to the far back, it's about doubled. So you can just see the elevation change. It just goes up like this. So this is a lot of bricks underneath it. And if we go to this side, that's actually one of the reasons I liked the idea of keeping it open, was you can see all the supports that are keeping this MOC up. And it goes back pretty far. You can see right there, back there, that's where the hill starts to go down. So I thought that was really cool to kind of keep this open. You don't really see it, so I didn't want to cover it up anyways. There's no reason to, but I thought that was kind of cool. So anyways, let's go back. Let's do an overview actually first. So we've got this main kind of dirt road going through the jungle. This was a suggestion from a fan, and then I also had some ideas, but the very early on stages of this MOC series, I asked you guys, being the fans, to give me suggestions not only on this section, but on the whole MOC. What should I do? You guys wanted me to do a supply road of some kind, because otherwise it would just be a bunch of dense jungle up here, and you couldn't really do much as far as figures and vehicles, so that would have been kind of boring. So we did this really cool road. We've got a deuce and a half carrying an artillery unit. We've got 2 wheelies jeeps, and we've got a bunch of Americans marching alongside them, protecting them. So I guess let's show kind of this front section. So behind and in front of this road, we have just really thick bamboo sections here. They're just all stacked up pretty high. Most of them are like 6 or 7 bricks tall. Some of them in the back are actually even taller than that. But we've got dark tan on the ground to kind of symbolize dirt that's been ran over by vehicles. So we got 3 Americans there walking behind this deuce and a half. It's pulling this artillery unit. We got 2 more Americans there. And then in front of that, we got the Jeep. We got 2 more Americans, Jeep, and then we got 4 Americans. So it's kind of like a formation that they're forming. And what they don't know is some of these Americans split off, and there's actually a little firefight going on. So maybe these guys are running up to help these guys out. So there's this little opening here that's another hill that goes up kind of into this hidden jungle city. Now this was inspired by kind of PUBG. If you guys have played PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, you know there's that one jungle map, and they have these little huts. And I thought this would be perfect because, once again, it'd be really boring if this was just all grass. It would be pretty boring. So I wanted some kind of structure. It also breaks up the color once again. So it's trying to balance, when you're building a MOC like this, it's trying to balance, you know, not just having a bunch of green. Yes, that might be accurate, but let's add some color. And so we did that with these buildings. So this one's a little bit longer. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 20 studs long there on the roof. And this one's 1 plate smaller, so not as long. But we got one there. We got this one's actually at an angle, which is pretty cool. If you look straight down on it, normally Lego you have to build either horizontally or vertically. This one's actually at an angle, and I've shown this technique before in previous videos. So if you guys are interested, I might do a separate video on that. But that's just kind of a cool technique. And then we've also got this artillery pit here, and we'll get to that. And let's just start by looking at this. Let's go all the way back. So we've got this guy here. It's got actually 4 windows. There's actually a window on the back side. You can barely see it. Then we got the doorway, and it's actually all tiled in there. So we've got these 2 Viet Cong soldiers running out with AKs. This guy got shot, unfortunately for them. And then we've got this guy that also got shot here by these Americans that are running up. They did get 1 American, however. Another American that's running up did get shot right there. And then we also have a dead Viet Cong there. These guys are running out of this building, and then also off from the side. There you can see we have a flame trooper and more Americans running up. And this guy's actually trying to catch this bunker on fire, which is another field gun down there. You can actually see we got ammo crates on both sides, RPGs. This guy back here is kind of his protection. He's got an AK, and this guy's trying to load up and fire that thing again. Probably to take out the deuce and a half, because it's right there in their line of fire. It's just like a direct shot on their engine block. So that's probably what they're doing. Bunch of grass. I try to blend in as much of these buildings as I can with the grass around them. I tried to build up as much grass as I could. Another thing that you guys really wanted me to do was, you know, not only the cave system, but the punji sticks, which is a very famous booby trap that the Viet Cong would do to try to kill Americans. Basically inside here, if I move some of these, there's actually a bunch of spears poking up, and this is actually a skeleton figure with an American helmet on it caught in between. So basically they would dig these holes in the ground, and they would put spears pointing up. They would cover it up with leaves, you know, put these on trails, and if Americans would step on it, they'd fall down onto these spikes, injuring them or killing them. Sometimes they would put poison on the sharpened bamboo sticks that they used for spears. So very cruel way of killing people, but it was effective, unfortunately, during that time. So I wanted to add that. And the reason we were able to do that is because we had so much depth for this MOC. It's so tall that we were able to make this. That's what this is. It's actually an enclosed box where we're able to build that punji stick. So we couldn't really do this over there on the MOC where it's not as deep. This, we have a lot of room to play with and height, and we were able to do that. And then let's get a kind of a front angle of this bunker so you can see kind of what the flamethrower guy's actually doing. He's doing some pretty good damage. We got a lot of fire pieces there. I couldn't put many more because of the bamboo. The way that piece is, it covers up a lot of studs, so I couldn't place as many as I wanted to, but it's totally fine. There you can see the field gun poking out. It's got 4 posts and then this Lego net piece, kind of covering it as a roof. And then I added the tree limbs and kind of leaf pieces to cover it up and make it kind of camouflage. If you were looking at a bird's eye view, you wouldn't know what that is. And so that was kind of the goal. So that's kind of the hill section, and that's kind of the MOC. So let's do one quick kind of overview. Like I said, there'll be another video of me talking about this full MOC. We're not talking about it, but doing kind of panoramic shots with cool lighting, cool camera angles, with music. This is the first finale, which is where I actually go in and explain everything that's happening, because if you guys watch the series, you know how I built most of this, but I didn't show you guys how I laid out the figures until now, how I did some of the vehicles, how I did some of the final detailing, and I think that showing that last is what's really exciting to a lot of you, and I'm curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments down below. But without further ado, that is Vietnam. I'm really curious to see your guys' opinions in the comments down below. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, comment down below any feedback. So we got one more finale video coming after this, which will be, like I said, cool camera angles and all to music. It'll be a shorter video. This is probably a very long video. That'll be a shorter video, so stay tuned for that next Sunday. And then after that, we might be doing a small video series of me tearing this down. And then it's going to be, once this is torn down, we'll have a nice clean table. We'll have a bunch of bins full of parts, and we can pick on whichever MOC we want to do next. So feel free to talk about that in the comments down below. Once again, these American figures and Viet Cong soldiers, so both of these figures here are available on my website, BrickTactical.com. I'll put links to those in the description. And then this Wheelies Jeep is actually my kit, and I think there's 4 of those left on the website. So lots of cool stuff. I also am selling the AK-47s, the M14s that you might have saw. There's the M14 right there, the M16 in the guy in the back, M1 Grands, AK-47s, RPGs, all that stuff you saw in the MOC is my own, so you can check that out on my website. But I do want to say thank you guys for keeping this MOC alive. This was really fun to build. I learned a lot, not only with building Lego, but about history, designing and helping my designer create these Vietnam figures and some of these weapons. Learned a lot. I hope you guys did too. I hope you guys enjoyed this MOC series. Make sure you guys leave a like and share this video with your friends and family. Post about it on social media. And if you place an order on my website, definitely tag me and post on your Instagram story, and I'll repost it. So definitely spread the love. Follow me on here. Subscribe so you don't miss another video. Check me out on Instagram, BrickTactical, and also TikTok. I've been doing some videos of that over there, all of which BrickTactical is my username. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to check out the last video of me finishing this up, check it out right there. If you guys want to check out the full complete playlist of all episodes, check it out right there, and subscribe. Check it out right there. I'll see you guys next Sunday with another finale on this MOC.